Honorable Men Discord. Let's talk the ASAP Mob demise. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And as always, tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's get straight to it. Recently, ASAP Rocky, I want to say, while making his promo run for his recent project, Don't Be Dumb, he sat down with Ebro and he spoke about his estranged relationship with ASAP Ferg. All right. And it was noticeable way before this interview. It was noticeable because ASAP Ferg has been doing his own thing for some time. And I hadn't seen ASAP Rocky in any of his videos. I haven't seen any songs that they did together. So it was always on the back of my mind, what's going on with ASAP Mob. All right. But before we even get to that, I just wanted to go over some things for those of you that are unaware. So the last collective project of ASAP Mob was back in 2016 and 2017. And it was something called the Cozy Tapes, right? That was the last thing that I see that they did, was the Cozy Tapes as a group. After that, obviously, there was some solo projects that were put out from ASAP Rocky, ASAP Ferg. I want to say ASAP 12, ASAP Nast, a few of them, right? But we haven't been seeing any joint projects. We haven't seen featured songs, nothing like that. And they came out, as you can see in this photo, they all came out together. And like many things, the larger the group, it's very rare that the group stay together. And where I'm going with this is beyond the ASAP Mob. If you can think of any group, large group, that stayed together for a long period of time, it's very rare. You know, while I was recording this episode, I thought about New Edition. They're rare. They still tour with all of the members, including Johnny Gill, and he was a late addition. But that's rare. That normally happen, especially when it's a large group and they have to manage different personalities. But they're an exception to the rule because they kept it together. They do holiday shows. They ring in the new year. I've seen them plenty of times do things like that. But ASAP Mob is a little bit different. There's been a lot that was going on within that camp, and we can start with the unfortunate passing of ASAP Yams. He's the one in the middle right here, right? And oddly enough, ASAP Yams passing is what motivated ASAP Rocky to do the cover for the album that I particularly love from ASAP Rocky, and I mentioned it before in my other episode when I covered this, and I just want to correctly say the name of the album. I think it's At Last ASAP Rocky. Let me see something. I'm sorry. I don't want to butcher the name. I like to be correct because if I'm not correct, I get roasted for it. Okay? So, I'm almost there. At Long Last ASAP. So that's my favorite ASAP album. Okay? And that cover was inspired by ASAP Yams because if you look at the photo has a birthmark that ASAP put on. He photoshopped on, and that was to pay tribute to ASAP Yams. But so I feel as though when ASAP Yams passed, that was the beginning to the end, or the beginning of the end, right? Now, again, members continued to put out solo projects, but we never saw the group collectively put out an ASAP Mob album. Okay, and with that being said, as you all know, last year, 2025, ASAP Rocky concluded his court appearance against another ASAP member, ASAP Relly. And if you don't know about that, you could look that up. So that's again friction within the camp. You had the passing of Yams. You have ASAP Relly suing ASAP Rocky, something along those lines. It was like a lawsuit, and he lost that. And then again, ASAP Ferg was you would see him pop out with a lot of new songs and things like that, but yet you wouldn't see ASAP Rocky in any of those videos just showing support. And I thought that was odd because ASAP Ferg, out of all the members, really showed that he could stand on his own. So much so, and this is something I have queued up, so much so to the point where at this stage he's decided to drop ASAP. And I'm going to get to that clip real soon. The thing is, the question is, what caused the demise of ASAP Mob? Now, everyone's going to have their own opinion on this. I think this is just, it comes down to life. Some might say it comes down to money. That's possible, but I call it life. All right. Unfortunately, ASAP Yams passed away, but life happens. I don't know the age of all the members at the time of this particular photo that I have queued up, but life happens. Boys become men. Young men become grown men. They start families. They move from where they used to live. I mean, I want to say all the ASAP members are from Harlem. I'm sure maybe some are from maybe the Bronx. But that was then, this is now. We know ASAP Rocky is married. He has children. And I don't know about the other members, but that causes division. That causes separation. Not division, but it causes separation. And it's understandable. The problem is that some of us believe that the relationships of the past endure time, and that's not always true. And that's what we're learning from the ASAP Mob. This photo is one that I'm sure all the members from time to time maybe look at and they remember the good times. For them, that was the good times, before the fame, before the money, before the passing of Yams. This is when they understood the value of friendship. But things happen. Now, you can say you can question whether or not things happen for good or it happens for bad. If you ask ASAP Rocky, he would say it happened for good. He was able, through being part of the group and starting a career, he was able to meet the love of his life, which is Rihanna. He was able to start a family. How did the other members feel about this? We don't know. We do know that Ferg, and I'll get to that video, Ferg doesn't feel like it makes sense to continue repping a brand that doesn't show any type of long-lasting relationship. So he has chosen to drop the name ASAP. Now, I don't know how any of you that are watching this episode feel about that, but I think that's just life. Nothing stays how it used to be. All right, friendships of the past don't necessarily transfer over into your new life once you start a family. All right, but let's go into this video here of ASAP speaking to Ebro about his lack of a relationship with ASAP Ferg, or formerly known as ASAP Ferg.
I always loved Ferg, of course. Ferg, he got a good heart. You know what I mean? I saw a couple interviews where he was just like, he ain't ASAP, and he dropped ASAP from his name. That shit bothered me. You know what I mean? But I ain't gonna hold it against him, and I wish him the best. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Y'all could probably, it's
for sure.
It's fixable.
With me and him, for
Always.
sure. For sure. You know what I mean? But I'm just really locked in and focused on me right now.
That's right.
I always loved.
Some might say, well, when have you never been about yourself, ASAP Rocky? And maybe I'm the only one that's saying this, and I'm just as an outsider looking in. Some might say, ASAP, when have you ever stopped focusing on yourself? Is focusing on yourself a bad thing? That's another question. right? Is focusing on yourself a bad thing? I don't think it's a bad thing. But I could also respect A$AP Ferg dropping the name ASAP, because what purpose does it serve if it started with a group and you're repping that name, and yet the group members aren't participants anymore? What sense does that make? And by no means is this episode taking sides on if I think A$AP Rocky and him choosing to focus on himself and his family is a bad thing, or formerly known as A$AP Ferg, if Ferg is choosing not to use the name ASAP anymore. There's no right or wrong in this, by the way, and I just want to make that clear in this episode. I'm just bringing it to light and starting a conversation, because I personally feel like this is a example and a representation of life as we all know it. We've all experienced situations where people from our past are no longer people we associate with now. And is that a bad thing? It's not a bad thing. It's called life. And unfortunately, some people don't understand how life plays out, and they take it personal. But it's nothing to take personal. It's just the reality of it. Sometimes some people from the past, they no longer serve purpose in your future or where you're planning to go. And that's no shot at people from your past, because that doesn't necessarily mean you wish them any wrong. You wish them wrong, or you wish them non-success. It just means that you're going in a different path than that they're going. And that happens all the time in life. We evolve. We don't necessarily evolve together. We don't come into the world together, and we certainly won't leave this world together. So I don't see anything wrong with both sides, but this is just to show how things change. And let me just go back to that photo, because everyone watching this episode could probably think of a photo that they've had with longtime friends that are either no longer here or are no longer someone that you associate with. And again, I ask, is that a bad thing? I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just how life plays out. And it shouldn't even be a sad thing either. Because unfortunately, whether we choose to change or not, life will change for us. Life makes changes for us. Again, the passing of ASAP Yams. You think any one of the men in the photo would have thought ASAP Yams would have been gone at such a young age? I don't think they saw that coming. We never see it coming. It said ASAP Yams passed back in January 18th of 2015. All right, that's 11 years ago. And it was unfortunately, they say it was a drug overdose. But let's go into ASAP Ferg.
Are you in ASAP?
Well, I am ASAP. I made ASAP. Me along with Rocky and, the founders who built it.
Created
it. ASAP Yams, yeah.
But the news in the streets is you're not in ASAP. Are you or are you not?
Well, I don't think there is ASAP anymore. I think it's a thing of the past. From the music point, you think about, me and Rocky.
Yeah.
Who did the music and all of that. Of course, it was built off the backs of Bari and Yams and all of that, but we're the faces. So I feel like if we're not making no music and putting out no new timestamps, then there's no ASAP. So right now is Ferg. It's Ferg Apparel, it's the Ferg Empire, it's Daryl, it's everything dealing with this individual right here.
So it's Ferg now. You're not ASAP Ferg anymore.
Yeah.
Are you in?
And again, I don't see anything wrong with it. And if anything, I think he's wise for doing that, because then you look like a fool. And this is just my opinion. You look like a fool repping a brand that was a brand that represented a collective, and the members are not even speaking to one another. It's what exactly are we doing? What exactly are we doing? And if he said he's the one or one of the main ones that started it, he can choose to drop it if he chooses to. But oddly enough, I checked, and there's 2 other members that dropped projects in 2025, right? And by the way, let me go through the names of the members of ASAP Mob. So the collective was ASAP Rocky, ASAP Ferg, ASAP 12, ASAP Ant, ASAP Nas, and then there was others like Yams, ASAP Bari, ASAP Ills. We know ASAP Relly, again I mentioned, who wrapped up the court appearance with ASAP Rocky back in 2025. But listen, some of these members, 2 of them put out projects. I saw they had projects in 2025, so just last year. But again, they're not necessarily doing projects together. One of the members, I looked at his album from 2025. I didn't see other ASAP members featured on it. So it's like, what's the point? At some point, you know, for some, they may be hanging on to the name because of its relevance in the rap community, and people may identify them by that, using that handle in front of the name. But Ferg is confident in what he's building for himself. And if anything, he's taking notes from ASAP Rocky. He's like, ASAP Rocky's over there taking care of himself, his family, and he's not necessarily looking to make time to keep the brand alive. Because in the recent album that he dropped, Don't Be Dumb, I don't see a ASAP member on it. And let me be correct. Let me take a look. All right. Oh, looks like he has a deluxe. Oh no, deluxe has videos, music videos. All right, so 15 tracks on Don't Be Dumb. And I do not see one feature from any ASAP member. So here's another thing I have to mention. So he says in the interview that he was disappointed to hear that ASAP Ferg has chosen to drop the handle ASAP. But everything he said in this interview with Tory, it makes sense. You know, they're not functioning as a collective anymore. And again, I ask those of you watching, is that a bad thing? It can be, if promises were made that weren't kept. So if before they had success, even if one member took flight and had success, was there ever a sit down, whether it be in a pizzeria, studio, on the block, in the building, staircase, wherever? Was there ever a conversation about, listen, if any one of us blows, we got, you know, that person has to hold it down for the rest of us, and we're gonna do X, Y, Z. One member drops an album, then another. Wu-Tang is another exception to the rule. I have to use Wu-Tang because there is no track record that I could think of immediately of a large group that has been able to stay together. Wu-Tang experienced death. We know this, Old Dirty Bastard. But they kept pushing. They kept pushing the brand. Honestly, you have to salute Wu-Tang. And they're one of the exceptions to the rule, like New Edition. Wu-Tang kept it together. They've done shows with Old Dirty Bastard's son, who braided his hair like Old Dirty Bastard. Those things are rare, but that's not really the way life plays out sometimes. We have exceptions to the rules, and then we have the way life plays out most of the time. People go their separate ways. And Wu-Tang Clan had more than one member. They had members that had successful solo projects. Can we say the same about ASAP Mob? And I'm not taking any shots at them, but outside of, I want to say, ASAP Rocky, ASAP Ferg, then you might have ASAP Nas. That might have been somewhat successful. And if I'm missing anyone that has a successful project, let me know in the comments. And I say that respectfully. I'm not taking shots at ASAP Mob. I'm just diving into how things fell apart, pretty much. how things fell apart, why things fell apart. And is there anything wrong with that? But that's my thoughts on all of this. What's yours? As always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And as always, stay honorable.